If everything goes the way that Myles Garrett wants it to, the Detroit Lions will have the chance of a lifetime in trying to acquire the star pass rusher to pair him up with Aiden Hutchinson that will overnight single-handedly change the trajectory of the Detroit Lions defense as a whole, specifically that defensive line. And here is a video that I'm going to be extremely critical of Brad Holmes and tell you why Brad Holmes cannot blow what I believe is an opportunity for the Detroit Lions to lose. To me, Myles Garrett is a Detroit Lion if Brad Holmes wants this. I'm going to break down why I think that's the case and why if Brad Holmes is not a Detroit Lion and Cleveland is conducive to trading him, it is because Brad did not want to get it done. And we're going to be extremely critical of him. The people that say that the Lions cannot mortgage the future or sell the farm or they need to build through the draft, I'm going to tell you why, to me, and this is just my opinion, that is a moot argument. The Detroit Lions have already built this team and in some instance mortgaged the future. I'm going to show you what I mean and what my thought process is. And this is not a stretch or a reach. This is just the way that I feel. But first and foremost, why do I think that the Detroit Lions, that Myles Garrett is their player to lose? Well, Myles Garrett said in his letter yesterday that he wants to play he want to be in contention for a Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions are one of those teams. Andrew Berry may not be Brad Holmes. What I mean by that is Brad Holmes is notorious for trading not only in division but in conference. If Andrew Berry is smart, I mean, he will not trade Myles Garrett in conference. Now, we did trade Matthew Stafford. Brad Holmes traded Matthew Stafford in conference. He traded TJ Hawkinson in division, and he traded in division again with the Minnesota Vikings to trade for Jamison Williams. So Brad Holmes will do that. Andrew Berry, if he's smart, he will keep Myles Garrett as far away from the AFC as possible, especially out the division. There's no way he goes to Baltimore, he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, or he goes to the Cincinnati Bengals, who could use his services to pair him up with Trey Hendrickson. But why is this the Detroit Lions? Why is Myles Garrett the Detroit Lions star pass rusher to lose? Let me show you why. Myles Garrett wants to be a contender. The Detroit Lions are one of those teams. Assuming Andrew Berry trades him out of conference, here is what you're dealing with if you're a Detroit Lion. Now, keep in mind, Myles Garrett wants to play for a contender. So that if you play in the AFC, that eliminates 15 teams, leaving you with 16 remaining. Let's look at this list. Let's take a look at contenders. That is the key here. The Browns are going to most likely, very similar with Zadarius Smith, they let him choose where he wanted to go. In a sense, they should do that as well with Myles Garrett. That would exclude, if you use the word contender, the Giants, Saints, Panthers. The Bears, they have the cap space. They have the draft capital. Does Myles Garrett think that they would be contenders if they added him? So I'm going to exclude them. The 49ers, they could be a team, but they are pressed they paying a lot of people, very similar to how you guys think the Detroit Lions are going to be. Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, they got to pay Brock Purdy. I don't think that this is going to happen, but they do fall in the contender category. Let's keep going. Cowboys, I'm going to say no. Cardinals, Falcons, Seahawks, Packers could be a possibility. That would be devastating. If he goes to the North and it's not the Detroit Lions, that would be devastating to me. Are the Packers, are they contenders? I'm going to say that you could argue yes and no. Well, you know what? Let's get to the Detroit Lions, and then I'll incorporate the Green Bay Packers in here. This is a name I keep hearing a lot, the Washington Commanders. This would be a scary situation. Does Myles Garrett think that they have what it takes, that he would take them over the top? This team was one game away from the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. They also are in the same division with the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Washington Commanders would be a team to keep an eye on. The Minnesota Vikings, they just paid Grenard Van Ginkel. He's not going there. They drafted Dallas Turner. The LA Rams, I can see Les Snead doing this, but they don't need him. So, but I can see him saying if he thinks he's the piece, maybe to kind of not necessarily replace Aaron Donald, they play two different positions, but I could see Les doing this, but I'm going to strike them off. So right now, the Packers, maybe, but I really see the Washington Commanders. So that's only two teams. The Buccaneers, can you say that they're in contention for a Super Bowl? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. If you were one of the last four teams, either this year or last year, then I would say that you're in Super Bowl contention. The Philadelphia Eagles, they don't need him. I'm not sure if they could even pay him. What does that leave? Your Detroit Lions. So if I am Myles Garrett, I'm saying to myself, I'm looking at, assuming Andrew Berry is not going to trade me in conference, I'm going to have 16 choices. And to me, the only ones that I would probably look at, San Francisco, maybe Green Bay, Washington, and Detroit. And if you exclude what the team can do, that brings us really to the Detroit Lions. And then you have Zadarius Smith, who can hype up. We talked about this in a video yesterday. Can absolutely hype up the Detroit Lions for Myles Garrett and let him know what this city means, what football means to the city, what the Detroit Lions mean to the city, and what Myles Garrett would do. I can already picture it right now. Hutch, could you picture the popcorn bucket? Hutch on one side, Garrett on the other, back to back, arms crossed, Zadarius in the middle with hands on the shoulders. Crazy. That'd be, PR would go nuts. Myles Garrett, 95. Pat O'Connor is 95. He is not on the team as of yet. As of this moment, he was 95. He is not on the team. He's a free agent. I believe he is. We could have featured him. I don't think we did. And you talk about so much, sometimes you get confused. I don't think Pat O'Connor is under a future reserve because he wasn't on the practice squad. He was on the 53. I think he is a free agent. So 95 would be available. Love you, Pat, but Myles is a one of one. So that's why I think the odds for the Detroit Lions increase. Brad Holmes, you battling out with 16. If Andrew Berry is smart, Myles has any say-so, you would assume we'll send you, Myles, to any one of the NFC teams you want. It's got to be in the NFC. We'll send any team you want, any NFC. That's the deal. Okay, so now we got the Detroit Lions. What would it take, according to Daniel Jeremiah, what would it take for a team to acquire somebody like Myles Garrett? I think it's going to be at least 2 firsts. And I think it's going to be the Detroit Lions first for next year, first for 2027, and Hendon Hooker or a player. Something like that would bring him here. Now, to the people that's talking about building through the draft, I'm going to tell you why that is a moot point as of right now. And to the build through the draft people, that has already happened. We've already done that. That is a already done deal for the Detroit Lions. Right? Here's what I'm going to tell you. Let's look at the 2024 NFL draft. And you tell me who out of this draft class is a foundational piece. We drafted Terrion Arnold, with our first round pick, traded up to get him. He had a tough year, but he was on number one, like every wide receiver in the book. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf. I mean, he's on everybody. He had a tough year one, but outside of him, in his rake straw, no impact. Giovanni Manu, no impact. Vaki, no impact. Mekhi Wingo, no impact. Christian Mahogany, no impact. These are future guys. This was a future draft. This draft was not to be impactful for 2024. So out of these players, only one of them was made somewhat of an impact on our team this year. You don't build through the draft. This is not building through the draft. These are not foundational pieces. These are future pieces. We took project pieces. Okay? So that's why, to me, the build through the draft argument is a moot point because we've already done that. And if Brad Holmes didn't believe that, then he would have taken people who can make right away an impact. Now, could that argument have been the case for last year? Were we still building through the draft? Let's take a look and see what our draft class was from last year. And this is coming from Pride of Detroit as my transition. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Hendon Hooker, Broderick Martin, Kobe Sorsdahl, Antoine Green. So look at this. Starter, impact. Starter, impact. He wasn't an impact year one. So, I'll call him moderate. Sam Laporta, rookie sensation. Brian Branch, rookie sensation. So out of these picks, 3 of them were impactful. Jack was on the cusp. And we drafted Hendon as a backup to Jared Goff. Project, no pick at all. 7th round picks don't make an impact. So now you see what's up. So out of the 2024 NFL draft, only 1 player was drafted to make an immediate impact. In 2023, 4 players were drafted to make an immediate impact. But Jack had to earn his way and eventually got in the lineup. So in 2023, we officially was done building through the draft. Foundation was set. Okay? You're always going to build through the draft, so to speak. You're continually drafting players. But you don't take project players if people talk about missing and selling the farm. We got our entire 2024 draft is unimpactful. Not one of them made a difference, made any type of impact. I'm not even going to say a difference. He made just the small little nuance of an impact. So where are we at here? Now, a foundational piece is a Penei Sewell. A foundational piece is an Aiden Hutchinson. A foundational piece is a Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jamison Williams. Now we're building up the team. And you saw the 2023 draft. To me, that's when building through the draft, that whole can't mortgage the future. And why did I say, well, it's kind of, to me, a little bit of mortgaging the future? Because we drafted for the future, therefore mortgaging it. Because some of those players may not have made 0 to no impact. Let's take a look again. Antoine Green, no impact. Kobe Sorsdahl, future. Broderick, future. Hendon, future. So we half of this draft was for the future. So we're mortgaging the future in a sense for players who may or may not matter in 2 or 3 years. And we can't go get one of the best defensive ends in the National Football League. Now, last and certainly not least, let's take a look at what Tankathon says that the Detroit Lions draft picks currently are. Sometimes they're not right. Sometimes they're way off. I don't know if this is 100% correct, but we'll just assume that it is. It could be a pick or 2 that's off. Are the Detroit Lions going to do much of anything this season, this offseason in the draft? Are they going to be able to get all these players that's going to be able to make a difference? Probably not. Probably not. Brad is going to have a monster draft with what we have, in my opinion. How many impactful players will we get from this draft? Now, according to Tankathon, this is our current draft. I don't know if the Philly one is still here. Somebody said that we traded that away. I'm assuming this one came from somewhere in the draft last year. This got to be Carlton Davis. This got to be the Terrion Arnold trade that we traded last year with the Dallas Cowboys. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this draft. We have 3 7th-round picks. None of these guys are going to matter. Not a single one of these guys are going to matter. Jamar Jefferson, Chase Lucas, Antoine Green are our 7th-round picks from Brad Holmes drafts. They have amounted to nothing on this team. These, what are you going to do with these? Can you even package these up to get with anybody, to send anywhere? So how much building are we actually going to do? 6th-round pick. We got Mekhi Wingo. I think we took Giovanni Christian Mahogany with the 6th-round pick. He has a potential to be a difference maker. We took Malcolm Rodriguez, James Houston. So, this is iffy. I'm not really seeing a bunch of, how many diamonds in the rough, Malcolm Rodriguez, are we going to get? Now, if this is a thing, okay. We got a compensatory pick from Aaron Glenn. We didn't have this 2 weeks ago. So this is the draft to me. This is the draft. If we do have the Philadelphia Eagles pick, Derek Barnes, Amon-Ra St. Brown, you can get this done with this pick. This is right there in the middle where you can either hit or miss. We took Broderick Martin in between here. Look at this. Sit back and look at this. He was taken in. Why do you think I blow my top? This is where Broderick Martin was drafted at, and he has done nothing. And we talk about mortgaging the future. We lost the Super Bowl because we couldn't get to we lost our chance at it because we couldn't get to a quarterback. And this is where Broderick Martin, who took 10 whole snaps last year, is sitting. So Brad Holmes has these 3 picks. If we still have this one, he has this. Let's see, because I'm curious, who does Tankathon have us taking? They got us taking 2 defensive linemen from Ole Miss. Jared Ivey, a defensive end, right? And Walter Nolan, a defensive lineman. So usually when they have DL, they can play inside and out. 6.5, 7 sacks. That's what they got. Is Tankathon be all off? Like their draft picks are horrendous. They really are. So for me, if you're following, Brad Holmes has already built the foundation. The most important part of your team is the foundation. That's already been built. To me, that was the complete in year 3. Foundation has already been built. Year half of year 3, you drafted for now. Half of year 3, you drafted projects. All of year 4, you drafted mostly projects. Maybe Ennis, you could say Ennis wasn't a project, it didn't work out. So how many foundational pieces do we need? Our foundation is built. And you saw what we're dealing with this time in the draft. Not a lot. Those first 4 picks is all we got. 6th-round pick, don't expect anything. Maybe you get a Christian Mahogany. Maybe you get a Malcolm Rodriguez. Maybe you get a James Houston. Then you got 3 7th-round picks, which will not amount to anything. And who's going to trade for 7th-round picks? You might get a special teams dude out of that. What? We going to draft 3 special team guys? Or somebody's going to take 2 7th-round picks for us to come up to the 6th round and we get 2 6th-round picks? Come on, man. But Brad Holmes has an opportunity. And to me, based off of Andrew Berry sending Myles Garrett out of the conference, let's assume he's smart and he does that. Myles Garrett's say-so in the matter, that automatically takes the bottom. If you're picking top 10, he's not going there. So to me, that leaves the Commanders. Maybe, I don't think the 49ers can afford him, but it really just leaves the Commanders, maybe the Green Bay Packers, and the Detroit Lions. And if I am Myles Garrett, I'm looking at the fact that I exclude Green Bay because we went 11-1 in the division in the last 2 seasons, with the Green Bay Packers being the only team that beat us Thanksgiving last year. The Lions are the class of the division and the class of the NFC. This is Brad, and this is why. This is Brad's trade to lose. I have to believe that Myles Garrett, if he had to choose an NFC team, it would be the Detroit Lions. It's just a matter of, is Brad going to move or is he going to stand pat like he usually does? And that is why there's no excuses this year. You have an opportunity. You were just talking. That's why I said yesterday, this is your chance to put your money where your mouth is. You said in the press conference to end the season that pass rushers, the guys you tried to get, were not available. Well, you know what, Brad? It looks like one is about to become. What you gonna say now? We gonna see. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, and maybe we talk about pass rush by committee, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. I promise every video is not going to be about Myles Garrett, but the Lions, there's no doubt that the Lions have to do something. And this is the year that they don't have a ton of legit capital. Like they cannot miss. Brad Holmes cannot miss on those first 3 picks. He cannot miss. Why would we take a defensive tackle when Broderick Martin was literally drafted for this year? Take care of yourself and each other because you guys are awesome. And as always, go Lions.